This is Red Redemption 2. Now I'm at the graphics menu and I've set a mixture of high, medium and low, and some of the settings are switched on or off, so it's a balance really. I mean, the settings it's quite comprehensive, and I noticed the defaults, some of them were set to ultra, which I've nudged those down. And on the left hand side is the video memory, the VRAM counter, and that's getting close to the limit really of the graphics card's 2 gig limit, so there is room to get that at a more acceptable level. What I'll do now is run the in-game benchmark and see what we come back with, and the resolution's not on the highest either. So let's stop the video and run the benchmark tests. Apologies for the lack of excitement in this next clip, but this is the results of the Red Dead Redemption 2 in-game benchmarks. So we're getting a maximum 72, average of 51, minimum 35, so there's a bit of leeway there which you can use to adjust the settings accordingly should you need to, but those are quite acceptable to me. Right, so that's Red Dead Redemption 2. Got it out in the end. Rocket League, with all the settings set onto max quality settings, that is, and the resolution, we're getting a pretty steady 60 frames per second, even taking into account that Bandicam is taking up some of the resources, so you can be sure that this machine has no problems whatsoever playing Rocket League. On to Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Now I've put the graphical settings onto the preset of high and switched on any others that require an on-off flag, and on average after running the in-game benchmark we're getting 30 frames per second, which with an exploration game that's not too bad, but there are a few quite intensive action sequences in this game. So what I'm going to do is rerun it with the setting set to medium, and there's a few others I could probably switch off or on, but I've set the preset of medium. It's on the maximum resolution. What I'll do is I'll run the benchmark again just to see what we get. So after running the in-game benchmark with the medium preset, it's bumped up the average just a touch to 35 frames per second. So if you can live with that, that's fine. I mean, I couldn't really tell much difference between the medium and high preset, but as I said, there's a lot of other settings here that you could probably adjust to get that frame rate up without really compromising the look of the game too much. Okay, so that's Shadow of the Tomb Raider benchmarking. Well, this is Cyberpunk, and it's quite a taxing game on the system, so I'm recording this on an external cam. I've got the low preset in place, and even with this part with not too much going on, it's not really getting past 30, but then again don't forget to take into account that Bandicam is actually recording. That usually takes about 10%, so I think with that off you probably get above 30. This also is on the resolution that's one notch down from the maximum, so with a low preset and that in place and Bandicam not recording, I think at the moment it's playable, but I'm sure that that frame rate's going to go down once you get into more crowded built up areas. Right, so that's Cyberpunk. This is Forza Horizon 4. Now I've tried running this using Bandicam running at the same time. The game crashes for some reason, so I'm using the external camera. Now I've started the benchmark mode in using the high quality preset, what I'll do is I'll let this run, then report back with the results. Right, so I've finished running the in-game benchmarks. Now I cap the frame rate at 60 frames per second, which this monitor can only display anyway, and we're getting on average 50 frames per second, which is just fine. Now I have noticed that the video memory has been exceeded, so what I'm going to do is I'll rerun this using the medium preset just to see if we can get that video memory down to a more acceptable level, because the last thing we want to do is crash the game or get warning messages if that video memory limit, which on this machine is 2 gig, gets exceeded. Okay, so I've rerun the benchmark using the low preset, and there's a few other settings you can probably adjust, because I've noticed that things like lens effects, shader quality is still set to medium, and we've got that video RAM usage down just below the 2 gig limit, and the achieved an average of 60 frames per second. So it's up to you what you want to go with, medium or low, and adjust some of those other settings. But as I keep saying, in a lot of games on this size monitor, I just can't tell the difference between low and medium, to be honest. Right, so that's Forza Horizon 4. So I thought I'd show you the PC in all its RGB fan glory. The fans are controlled by a small remote module, as I showed you in the first video, so you can change to red, green, blue, and there's a few effects as well. That's a sort of a pulsing effect, and then it's got a slow pulsing effect, and then that's got flickering white light, and then back to the multicolours. So just to summarise then, this PC uses an i7, which is Intel socket 1150, 16 gig of DDR3 RAM, it's got an SSD and a hard drive, and it's got a GTX 960 with 2 gig of RAM. Now we are really hitting the limit on some of the recent titles with that 2 gig of VRAM. As I demonstrated, a lot of the games have in the benchmarking, it'll show you how much VRAM is being used. So really you want to get that below 2 gig. Now Red Dead, I'll get it right in a minute, Red Dead Redemption 2, Forza Horizon 4 and Cyberpunk, you really are stretching this system with that graphics card on those games, but they will run, and there is a lot of graphical settings you can tweak as well. So if you've got any queries on this build, just drop me a comment, and if you'd like me to test any games on this system, just let me know. But hopefully the games that I have tested, a mix of old and relatively new ones, give you an idea of what this system will do. Okay, so thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. But before I go, I want to just switch the lights off for added effect.